Alright guys, so in this part of this section, I want to demonstrate both feature detection and drag and drop in the same video. So the first thing we have to do here is go to modernizer.com, and Modernizer doesn't have an E between the Z and the R. Just make that clear. And we have a development version and a production version. We're going to download the development. And this is what I was talking about generating your file. Now, these are all the things that Modernizer tests for or can detect, and we can pick and choose which we want. You know, we could disable a lot of these if we wanted to lighten the file a little bit and increase the performance in our website. You'll see we have drag and drop right here. Obviously, we're going to keep that checked. I'm actually going to keep all these checked, but just to let you know that you can pick and choose. And then you generate the file, and then you can download the file. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I set this drag and drop an empty folder on my desktop. I'm going to download it to that, and that's where I'm going to build our application. And I'm just going to save it with the default name. Okay. Now you'll see if you go in the program right here, this is the section 2 program files, and this is what we're going to be doing is we're going to have this div, this box here, and we can drag and drop the HTML logo into the box. Nothing spectacular, but it's a good little introductory type of application. So you'll see if we reload, it goes back. Now you can imagine the things you'd be able to do with drag and drop in a browser, file management and so forth. So the next thing, let's close this and go to our new folder, and all we have here is the Modernizer JavaScript file. Now I just want to create an index file, okay, and I'm going to save it in that folder right next to the JavaScript. And I'm going to call it index.html. Alright, so now we have index. Now we just need the image, so I'm actually going to go back into the project files, okay, and get the image. Copy that, and I'll bring that, paste it. Alright, so now we have all our files that we need to build this. Alright, I'm going to leave this open, and then let's open our index.html with Notepad++, and it's an empty file. So right here I'm just going to paste in, let me just grab we just need our standard layout, our boilerplate for our HTML file, okay? Head. And we'll put a title of just drag and drop. Okay, I'll save that. And let's just open our file, and we have nothing. So the first thing I want to do here is just set up the divs in the image. So we're going to do, let's just look at this while we do this. We're going to put in a heading tag in H1, and we're just going to say drag the HTML5 logo into the box. Okay, save. I'm a little OCD with this. I like to check every little thing I change or add. I like to check. So the next thing under the header, we're going to make the div for the box to put the HTML5 logo in. Okay. So we'll say div ID equals, I don't know, div1 and now we want to add some. Actually, I'm not going to add the JavaScript attributes yet, so I'll just close the div. Oh. And then under that, I want to do image src source, and we're going to put HTML5.jpg. Okay, it's in the same. The image is in the same folder as this file, so we don't need to add any kind of directories or anything like that. So let's save this. See what we got. And we have a div which you can't see yet because we haven't added a border or gave it a size. So now let's do that. And I'm not going to link any CSS style sheets. I'm just going to do the style in the header just because it's convenient. And for style, we want to do the div. Sorry about that. We want to do div1. And what do we want to do here? Let's do width 240 pixels. Okay, and height will be also 240 pixels. Let's just throw some padding of 10 pixels, and let's do border. Okay, we'll do the shorthand for the border, so we'll say 1 pixel, and we want it to be gray and solid. And we also want to float this left. Okay, so let's save that. Alright, so now we have our box and our logo. Now we want to add the attributes for the JavaScript so we can call a function on an event. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make the logo, I want to make the image draggable. So we're going to add the draggable attribute, and we're going to set that to true. Okay, and the next thing I want to do to the image is I want to add the on drag start attribute. And you probably remember we talked about these in the slideshow, in this section slideshow. So here we want to have the drag event happen, and we'll have event as the parameter. Okay, so on drag start, when we start to drag it, it's going to call the drag event, the drag method or function, whatever you want to call it. And now we want to do to the div, to the empty div here, we want to put on drop. Okay, it's the on drop attribute or event, and what we want to do there is the drop event. Okay, I mean the drop method with the event. And then we want to add another attribute called on drag over. Okay, and that is going to call the allow drop function, and we'll have event as the parameter as well. Okay, so that should be it for the HTML. We have draggable true, on drag start we'll call the drag method, on drop we'll call the drop method, and on drag over we'll call the allow drop method. So actually I should have showed you how to use Modernizer first, but we'll just do it after. It's very simple to implement. So let's just get this, we'll get all this done with, and then we'll implement Modernizer, and we'll have an if, if drag and drop is able on the browser, then to continue. So let's just do our JavaScript. I'm going to do it in the head, not the style. I'm going to do it in the head section. I'm not going to link any extra files just for simplicity. So we'll do script type text JavaScript. Okay, and then close the script. Alright, so now, actually, you know what? I'm going to implement Modernizer now. So we have the file that we downloaded right here. I'm going to actually just copy this name, okay, so we can include it. We just need to include or link it to the HTML page, and we do that in the head. So we want to do script type equals text JavaScript, and we want to do source, and we want to put that file name in the source, and then we just want to close it and then add our ending script tag. Okay, so now the Modernizer file is linked to this HTML file, and I'm going to just test that out really quick by opening the JavaScript file. And I'm not going to explain any of this because the Modernizer file is pretty large and would be very complicated for me to try to explain. So, but I just want to make sure it's linked, so I'm going to do an alert and write it's linked. Okay, and then we'll save that, reload, and it's linked. So now just make sure you get rid of the alert, save it, and close it. We won't need to open that again. Alright, so now I just want to do a little test to see if drag and drop is enabled on our browser. Okay, and it's very simple. Actually, first I want to explain something. We're going to do alright, so this right here is the syntax of how you would test for something. If you wanted to test for canvas, you would have if modernizer.canvas and then whatever. I'm going to go back to drag and drop, but there is something, if you want to use the drag and drop, you have to add another piece of code. I'm going to do that right now. You have to add another condition, and it's this window.file reader. And the reason for this is that there is in fact a set of drag and drop event handlers, and they're supported in IE 8 and they go all the way back to IE 5, and these are they are the same events in the old version because the HTML5 standard basically formalized what IE was doing already. So we have to test for this in order for some of the older IE browsers to be able to tell if drag and drop is enabled or not. So what I'm going to do is just create what's going to happen if the browser is in fact able to do the drag and drop. Okay, and I'm just going to do a document write, and whoops, I'm going to say this browser can use drag and drop. Okay, and it's just going to write that. It's just going to print that to the browser, to the screen. And then if it doesn't, we're just going to add a not. A user cannot use drag and drop. Save that. Let's reload our Chrome browser, and it says this user can use drag and drop. This is the latest version of Chrome, and if you have the latest version of any popular browser, I believe that they all can handle drag and drop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this IE tester, which is a very cool tool for any kind of web developer. You can test sites on all versions of IE. I'm going to open IE 8 and go to that same page, and now you'll see it says this browser cannot use drag and drop. So, and I'll show you this. We haven't implemented the actual application yet, but I'll leave this open so that we can after we program it. I did want to do the modernizer thing first before we even did anything, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to keep this for the not if it's not available, and we're going to put our code, our drag and drop code, in between here in the if, you know, if that feature is enabled. So we're going to start with, one second. I'm going to start with the allow drop function, which is right here. Okay, so we're going to do function allow drop, and the allow drop function is going to take the event parameter, and all we're going to do here is do ev dot prevent default. Remember, we talked about that in the slideshow. We're just preventing the default behavior. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is the drag. We're going to do the drag function, and that's going to take an event parameter, and that you'll see is right here. So the image, when we grab the image and we start to drag it on drag start, we're gonna call the drag function, which we're gonna define right here. Okay, and it takes event, and then we have the event parameter. So here we're gonna do ev dot data transfer. Now this is the same code that we did on the slideshow. So we're gonna set the data, not the data, the data, and we're gonna set that to, I'm gonna set that first. The type will be text. Okay, and then ev dot target dot id. So that looks like that's what we want. I'm gonna separate this a little. So now we're gonna do the drop event. Now for the drop event, we're going to call the allow drop function. I mean the prevent default function. I said function, so I started typing it. Alright, so ev dot prevent default, and now we want to create a variable, and we'll call it data. And what that's going to do, we're going to be the ev data transfer dot get data. Okay, we did set data up there, now we're doing get data, and that's going to be text. And the last line, we want to do the append the ev dot target dot append child, and then we want to do document dot get element by ID, and we want to get the data ID. Okay. Oh, okay. I actually missed. The image should have an ID. We should have done this before. The image should have an ID of drag1. Okay. That looks good. Let's save that. It looks good. And there we go. We can drag it over, place it in the box. You reload, you can keep doing it. So that's that. Oh, I wanted to show you if we did it in a browser that doesn't allow drag and drop. So let's refresh this, and you'll see nothing happens. I can't bring it over. So that's working. It's all working correctly. That's it for drag and drop and feature detection. Next, we'll get into probably media, some video and audio stuff, and thanks for watching.